Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Today I have David Pere. Pere? Is that how you pronounce it?
Hooray!
Hooray.
I wouldn't correct you. I don't care.
All right. He joined the Marine Corps in August of 2008, and since that time, he's lived or traveled to many unique places worldwide, including a combat tour in Afghanistan. So David got started in real estate investing in 2015. He house hacked a duplex with the FBHA loan and lived in it for a while until getting married to his beautiful wife, Kimberly, and received orders to Hawaii. So he had to leave. And then while stationed in Hawaii, David bought a 10-unit apartment building in Missouri and has had a continued success with his real estate investing journey with over 100 rental units in his personal portfolio. And David has achieved complete financial freedom through real estate. And right now he helps other military veterans do the same. So David, thanks for being here, man. I thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. And you're welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the flexibility. I know I screwed the pooch last week.
Yeah. So flexibility is a good word, right? It's flexibility is what we're having right now, not having everything so structured. So yeah. You know, it's nice once in a while. It's just like riding a motorcycle, even though you can die.
Yeah, but you know, if you don't live along the way, right? Like, you know, the whole thing for me with the motor, I mean, going back to the motorcycle, like, so I had, when I first got into real estate, I had someone was intoxicated at a bar and they were parked next to my motorcycle. I had a Harley, and they backed out and they hit my bike, knocked it over, and did just enough damage to like technically total it. And I could have very easily, you know, fixed it up and kept it, but he cut me a check, and then Harley paid me enough I used that as the down payment on my duplex. And at the same time, when I went into real estate, I had a 2001 Honda S2000 that I had turbocharged and decked out, and that was my pride and joy, my baby. So I've always been a car nut. I had a 1988 F250, both that I had literally pulled the small block out of the truck, and rebuilt, you know, top to bottom, pistons out, everything. And so I had the truck, the car, the Harley, and at one point I had an R6 and an R1, so two other bikes. I sold all the toys and bought a diesel Volkswagen. And the reason, and don't get me wrong, I'm on my third diesel Volkswagen. I love those cars.
Yeah.
But I sold them all to buy real estate. And I've always been a car dude. I love the adrenaline. I love the tight corners, and you know, I'm not like a quarter mile drag guy. I'm a back roads dude. And every time I've sold a property, I've been like, oh, I could probably buy that Lotus or that 911 GT3 RS or that Ferrari or that whatever. And I've rolled it into the next property, you know,
Nice.
Rolled $100,000 into a hotel or whatever it is. And so, but I've delayed buying like a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 nice car, because I'm like, well, that will set me back from buying the $200,000 car that I really want.
Yeah.
And this last month, I had a mentor of mine, a performance coach I'm working with, Jason Dries, and some guys in one of my accountability pods all challenged me at the same time. Like, dude, you've got to have some fun though. Like, buy something, even if it's like a beater car that's fast, just something. And they were like, why not a motorcycle? And that was what sparked the whole thing. I was like, dude, you're right. So I bought this thing it was $6,800. You know, my monthly payment on a 3-year, because I went like super short, 3-year loan is like $203 a month. So
Damn,
for
that's nice.
$203 a month plus insurance, so for less than $300 a month,
You can have a lot
I
of fun.
I can have a lot of fun. And that thing
Yeah.
gets like 45, 55 miles a gallon. So it's, I'll be all into this thing. Oh, and here's the best part. Called my CPA and I was like, hey, can I write this off for mileage? He's like, probably not if it's a commuter. I was like, okay, but can I write it off, not mileage related, if it's in videos, ads, YouTube stuff, and it's a marketing prop? And
Uh,
he's like, yeah, 100%. And so, cool. So the bike got purchased by my online
company.
LLC,
Nice.
and it's insured through the LLC. It's purchased by the LLC in cash, and then I financed it. I purchased it with the LLC in cash, then financed it with the LLC after the fact, and it's going to be written off as a marketing prop, and you'll see it in YouTube videos and TikToks, and the occasional, like, I'm literally I talking to the CPA who owns motorcycles. He's like, you're probably going to have to go and make a video, like doing some stupid thing, like doing a burnout where like the smoke from the tire is like the words on the video. And I'm like, whatever, like if I have to go be that idiot online to justify that this was a marketing
that,
prop to write it off against taxes, okay.
that's
Like
a crazy insight, man. We should just end this podcast right now. I think it's enough. Man, so you could write it all off or just like a percentage?
I'm gonna try to write the whole thing off. Yeah, the whole purchase is and here's what's crazy. I say that and people are like, yeah, okay, whatever. I wrote a four-wheeler off 2 years ago. I wrote a flamethrower off last year. So you can write some really interesting things off if the reason you purchase them are for, you know, to appear in videos that are making you money.
Yeah, and is there like a rule as to how many times it has to appear in a video or something like that?
No, I mean you just now. I mean this is all going to depend on how good your CPA is, but
Mm.
like I've got friends. So I'm going to this thing called they call it the summer camp in June, and it's hosted by my buddy who they run Vetted VA, which is like this training company for VA lenders and brokers, and they host a summer camp, which is basically like a 3 day, 3.5 day intensive like come together for their brokers and then like training on the VA loan. But it's also like a team building thing.
Yeah.
Dude, they have two, actually it might be three now, gun safes full of firearms and two or three airboats, like like the Louisiana like boats with
Yeah,
like
for
the big
sure.
fans on the back, that are all purchased through the LLC because those are all items used for summer camp every year for the team building and camaraderie and everything else in Texas for the veteran, you know, team building. And all of it is 100% purchased through the LLC, funded through the LLC, written off through the LLC, and done completely above board. So there's some really interesting and cool things that you can do, in tax world with businesses that, I mean, shoot, like Grant Cardone wrote off his Rolls Royce or whatever as a marketing thing, I
Everything,
think.
his airplane, his
Yeah.
helicopter, everything. Yeah. That's crazy, right?
Yeah. But you can't write it off on the mileage side because you're commuting. You can
Yeah.
write off like the mileage, but not the whole thing. But then once it becomes like much more of a marketing piece, like that's just a whole different spin on it. It's interesting.
Hello, morning kings and queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors, build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
So man, I'm curious. So when this thing happened, this event that a guy, crushed and your motorcycle, and he damaged it, and he paid you for it, and then at the same time you went to Harley, and then they fixed it for free, right?
So they bought back what was left of it. So they gave me, I think Harley gave me like 3,500 for it, and he cut me a check for like 7,000 for it. And the bike brand new, I think I paid like 11, and I had put 11 or 12,000 miles on it.
So
So
what do you think about that, man? So you used that money to for the down payment of your first duplex, right?
yep.
And I have two questions, two things that I'm very curious about. Did you already have in mind like that you wanted to go and invest into real estate? And did you have like a goal? And you were like, okay, so I want to invest in this type of property which costs this much, so therefore I need this much in down payment. So like, were you very clear about that? That's number one. And the second thing, what did you think about that event? Like, did you think like the universe, God, like, did you think anything about that?
Oh yeah, no, that was totally the universe telling me to do it. So and for reference, like, just so anyone thinks like I'm not like taking advantage of this guy, this dude apparently had like 2 or 3 DUIs or incidents. He owned a
Oh, okay.
used car dealership, and basically what he said was,
He didn't want
this
to go to jail, so
truck,
he just paid
yeah,
you.
he was like, this truck is owned or insured by my dealership. So if I take the hit, I stand to potentially lose my dealership, or I won't be able to afford the insurance on all of my dealer cars. I will cut you a check for fair market price for your bike tomorrow if you come by my shop, so that we don't have to put this on insurance. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, cool. So he cut me a check for full market price. And then I went to Harley with what was left and was like, what'll you give me for the remains? And they were like, this much. And I was like, cool, thanks. So basically he cut me the check for what it was worth as is. And then Harley just gave me the difference for what they would have paid me after the accident. And I could have, I mean, Harley would have fixed it for me if I wanted, but essentially what you said. So this happened. I had just read Rich Dad Poor Dad like a month prior, and I
Mm.
just started getting into real estate, but I didn't have money for a down payment. And so I was like, I really want to do this thing, but I don't know where I'm going to come up with the money. Like, this sounds really cool, but I'm going to need like $3,000 or $4,000 to make this happen. And I'm broke because I'm an idiot and I blow all my money on cars, and I live paycheck to paycheck because I'm your typical Marine, and I blow all my money on vehicles and alcohol and chicks. And, at the time it was my fiance and whatever. But we'll figure it out. And then this happened, and I was like, oh shit, like, this is it. This works out perfectly. You're like, yeah, the world's trying to tell me that this is the way to go. And so yeah, it was like, that was the nudge I needed to be like, well, screw it. Like, this has to be the way to do it.
Nice.
So
And what did you think? What do you think that happened, man? Do you think that happened because like you were clear on what you wanted? Were you like really really clear to the point that you decided, all right, I want a duplex that costs this much, therefore I'll need this much in down payment. Like, were you that clear,
yeah.
or did you just like set a clear intention and committed to it? Why do
Yeah,
you
it was
think
just
it
an
happened that
intention.
way? Yeah, just
I'm
intention.
I'm I'm not that clear. I'm a winger. I wing everything.
Uh,
I'm like a I'm
I
I'm
can
a, I'm
tell. Yeah.
a I'm like a screw it. Let's just. I mean, dude, I bought this Ducati uh 2 weeks ago. So 15 days ago, my small group was like, all right, cool. So you decided on a motorcycle. Can you commit to buying it by the time we meet in 2 weeks? So yesterday. And I was like,
You bought it the
yeah,
day
why?
after.
I was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, why not? And so then the next day I texted this guy, Steve Sims, on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I've been doing a little bit of research. You have like 12 motorcycles. What do you recommend? This is what my commute looks like. You ride more than anybody I know. What would your perfect bike be? And this is what he came back with. And I was like, honestly, that was in my top 3. So screw it. All right, cool. So I pulled up Facebook. I started looking around. There weren't any near me. There were 2 in Kansas City that both looked decent. And I was going to Kansas City the next day.
That's crazy, man.
And so I was like, I'm in Kansas City, and I go to look at one. The other guy bailed and was like, I can't meet you till tomorrow. And I look at the first one, and the guy fired right up, had a good story. He was a really nice dude. And I was like, cool. I drove here. I don't know how I'm going to get it back down to where I live, 2.5 hours south. Can I leave it at your apartment complex? I pay you tomorrow. Or I was like, I'll pay you today, but can I leave it here? And either I'll have someone pick it up tomorrow on a trailer, or I'll come back up in 2 days and with a friend, and I'll just ride it back. And he's like, yeah, man, that's cool. And then the next day I found someone online for like $250 to pick it up. And someone picked it up and trailered it down to me. So I
Cool.
called my wife. I was like, hey, what do you think if I bought a motorcycle? She's like, well, you've talked about it before. Are you serious? And I was like,
I already
yeah,
did.
I was like, I'm pretty serious. And she's like, well, how serious? And I was like, well, I already shook the guy's hand. So unless you like are absolutely vehemently against it, I'm going back to the hotel room to grab the checkbook, and I'm going to buy it in 20 minutes. And she's like, okay. So
Yeah, my wife is against it, man. Just because and I've used motorcycles before, but deep down, I would be against it as well. You know, like because I'm like a Nalin type of guy, and I know I'm gonna be like just doing stupid stuff, man. So I'll probably get one, you know, in the future, and I'll have to be really conscious about how I use it. But yeah, it's really fun. So, man, does stuff always happen like that for you? So, for example, in this case, right, it seems like everything aligns perfectly. And Steve seems, I love Steve seems he like grants wishes for people, right?
yeah, he's the
Um,
man.
yeah. So, does things always happen like that to you? And if it does, do you have like a formula?
No, there's no formula, but they do seem to line up like that a lot. And it's interesting that you asked that, because I've been kind of thinking about that lately.
Hmm.
Dude, I've got some crazy stories in life that just seem so coincidental, and they just line up in such a way that I'm like, man, how'd that work? Oh, how'd that one work? Oh, hey, that worked too. And things that just panned out where it's like,
For sure.
what if, and maybe, and things that align in just a weird way. And it's funny because I'm not a very big like woo woo, believe in yourself and the things will come true guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely seems to be the case. So it makes it hard to not believe that, because dude, I mean, yeah, it really does genuinely feel like if you are upbeat, positive, and believe in something, that the universe will give it to you. Like if your
Mm-hmm.
frequency's there, it'll find a way. And
Yeah.
conversely, if you don't, you know, not gonna
So
happen.
so you don't have a formula, but do you have like a theory of what it is? Like,
I,
can you pinpoint it to something?
yeah, I think it's just like I really do kind of. I'm starting to buy into it more and more and more and more, but I really do think that it genuinely is that the law of attraction. Like you
Yeah.
attract what you think about. So like if you wander around the world thinking and looking for positive things, then you're going to find it. And if you wander around the world, like it's like that, if you wake up and you're in a terrible mood and you're like everything is terrible, the world hates me, everybody's out to get me, then like every single thing that happens throughout the day is going to be framed in a negative light.
Mm.
And if you wake up and you're like, everything is awesome, what's the Lego song? Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
Like then dude, everything is. And that's not necessarily the easiest thing for me to come to terms with, because I'm not always the most silver lining guy. I'd like to think I am, but I struggle with it just like everyone else. Um, but it's like, yeah, if you can be positive and see the silver lining and think through like the happy side of things, like good things seem to happen. And so I'm very much a like dreamer, visionary, like imagine if type. And sometimes it pans out. Now there are tons of times where it doesn't. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but
For sure.
but but you never know. Um, like here's one that's probably, well, I'm not gonna say it's probably not gonna work out. Here's one I'm trying to get to work out right now that we'll see if it happens. I got reached out to like 3 months ago by this guy, and he is the commanding officer for a maintenance squadron for F-16, F-18 fighter jets in Florida. And he's like, hey, I'd love for you to come speak to my unit. As an incentive, I can bring you out to the flight line. You can pet jets. We can fire them up and you can stand next to them and rub on them and be standing next to these fighter jets while they're going. I'm like, that sounds rad. But instead of saying that, I said, did you say joyride? Question mark. And he's like, oh, I don't have the authority to, whatever. And I was like, well, that's not a no. So we got on the phone and I'm like, so you said you don't have the authority, which means somebody does. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm like, well, who is it? And so we start talking. I'm like, what if I brought a second speaker with me? And that second speaker owns a McLaren and this car that owns, it's called a Bach Mono, which has one seat. And there's only 20 of them in the US. And they're all owned by like billionaires, except for this one, which he bought from a billionaire. And it's like a little, it's basically like a Formula One car that like you wear a helmet in and you sit in and like you have to pull the steering wheel out to get in this. It's crazy. And I was like, and we could, shut the flight line down and let this guy who has a general who has to approve this joyride drive these things in exchange for joyride. Because in my head, I'm like, whatever it takes to get me to ride in the back seat of a fighter jet, I'm down.
That's crazy.
And so we've been going back and forth now for like 2 months. Is it going to happen? I have no idea, but we're trying. And I'm like, what if he brought his friend's Lamborghini Gallardo? What if he brought, I'm like, I just keep throwing cars. Cause I'm like, I've got like this buddy of mine owns or has friends who own all these different cars in the area. And so I'm like, well, maybe if we could just get these in front of the general, like if he is a car guy, like, hey, if he's getting ready to retire, like maybe, maybe,
for sure.
and oh, by the way, we both have really big social media followings. So it could also be publicity for the Air Force, so I don't know that that's going to happen, but that's
it
like
might,
the kind
right?
of crazy thing that I try to like finagle. And if I don't get it and I still get to just hang out with the fighter jets and talk to the unit, that's still a really cool day.
That's good enough, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like it feels like you're not attached to it, right?
Nope.
So you're like you're just letting it flow, and so what's this word that you used to describe yourself at the beginning of the podcast?
Oh,
Like when you
man.
do things with no preparation and stuff like that?
Winging it.
Winging it. So man, what word would you use to like replace winging it? Maybe
Um, like
willingness?
happy-go-lucky, just like
Huh.
fun. I don't know.
Like
Let's see.
flow,
Flow. Yeah, that's probably a good one.
like acceptance, right? So look, I don't know if you've ever seen these charts right here, right? It's like the emotional vibrational chart, right? And everything that we've been talking about right now feels like acceptance, willingness, right? Flow, and that's like a really high vibrational state to be in, right? And when you are in like that vibrational state, things move faster to you, right? So like towards you. So yeah, man, it might be right. And if you've been thinking about looking into this theories or well, not theories, they're laws, right? Law of attraction and stuff like that. Well, then it might be right, and you figured out a way on how to be in a high vibrational state without even wanting to. So there you go. And then the paradox here is that if you start to want to be in a higher vibrational state because you start learning about it and you like it and you're like, okay, I'm gonna now embrace it and doing it more intentionally, now you could like get like performance anxiety and have the opposite effect. So I think just keep on winging it, man. I think it's working.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So man, let's shift gears. So you invested in your duplex, and then you started investing in what, 2015, you said, I think?
Yeah. Bought my first
All right.
duplex in December 2015.
And where are you at right now? Let's see, about 7, 8 years later.
I've sold a couple properties, but we got a 40 unit hotel, a 23 and a 15 unit apartment, 28 unit or pad RV park. And then I think like 8 1 to 4 unit homes. And then I'm a partner on 900 other like syndication units, but I mean my ownership on those is so small that it probably equates to like 3 doors. So
Yeah.
but just helped raise a little bit. So
Okay. So and then so your superpower, right, is like networking. Okay. So has that has that been having any influence in the way that you've been making progress and the success that you've had so far?
Yeah, I think so. A really good example for that. I mean, like the hotel and two apartments. I'm a one third owner because I found the deal, and then I brought the other two partners in off network. You know, they were just friends I met through networking. But the probably the best example is that RV park. I own 10%. I didn't bring a dollar in, and I don't operate, and I don't
Hmm.
really do much of anything. I run the Google page, and that's because I enjoyed that. But basically, what happened is a friend of mine had this awesome deal, and he was like, "Yo, I need to raise 100 grand." And another friend of mine had, 100 grand and some change, and was looking for awesome deals. And I was like, "Hang on." And so I called my buddy and was like, "Yo, here's some information. My friend has this deal. Is this kind of what you're looking for?" He's like, "Yes." I was like, "Cool." So I introduced him, and then they gave me 10% equity for the intro. And really, I introduced the two of them. I brought my lender to the deal, my LLC guy to the deal, and I own 10% of a $500,000 RV park, which honestly, we've more than doubled the gross revenue. So it's probably closer. It'll probably be $1 million RV park by the end of the year. But I mean, even if it's just a $500,000 RV park, I own 10% of that thing. And I, I did what? I made some introductions and
Yeah.
run the Google page. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, pretty
Cool.
cool.
So, man, networking is like key, right? When it comes to
Yeah.
real estate investing and finding deals or raising capital or finding the partnerships that you're going to need to be able to pull out to put to pull off some deals. So let's talk a little bit more about that, man. And what is it? Can you share with us what is it that you do to network effectively?
Yeah. I mean, a huge part of it, honestly, is just put myself out there. Like I'm a huge fan of leverage, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a lazy. And what's the Bill Gates quote, right? Like I think it's Bill Gates that talks about like how he loves like lazy employees because they'll find the most efficient way to get something
Yeah.
done. And
Uh,
it's like, man, that's me. Not necessarily that I'm like this lazy, but uh it's like
yeah, man. It's
networking.
it's about flow. It's about looking for the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So that's not
Yeah.
lazy, right? So
No.
you should stop you should stop using that word and change it with I just look for the path of least resistance, right? I'm really good
There
at
you go.
that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because people back in the day, right? Networking was like business cards at conferences and running around screaming and handshaking and I mean that's exhausting. And don't get me wrong, I love it. Like I go to conferences and I will play the game for like 8 hours and like go all out and meet a million people and then go back to my room and just crash for an hour or two and then go back out and hang out and whatever. But most of my really good connections have come from me just putting myself out on the internet and being as authentic as humanly possible and attracting the people that want to interact with me as the real
Yeah.
me, and they will find me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I put the right SEO and keywords and content out there for the right questions, so the people who are searching for the things that I want them to search for and find me. And I do it in a way where I'm not it's funny because people put their best foot forward on social media, which don't get me wrong, like there's something to be said for being like, "Oh, look, I made a book. Oh, look at this. I did this." Like there's something to be said for that. But there's also something I think detrimental from a networking standpoint when you share like the good and you aren't authentic about it. So like you give the stuffy like I have to look this way for my investors because I want to look professional, like I can handle, whatever. Like that's great, but fuck all that. Like the people that I want to find me and connect with me, like they want the Marine that says the F word on Instagram and is not afraid to be like, "Hey, this guru over here, like, you see how this picture they do have utilities and this picture they don't have utilities? Like, they're trying to scam you into believing this investment's better because of their coaching, but really they're just freaking leaving numbers out." Like, they don't want me to be like, "Hey guys, look at this awesome thing with my tie. Like, here's a cool investment opportunity. I'm super professional." Like, no, they want me to be like, screw that dude, and here's why. This is what you should be looking for. Run away from that. And then they're going to find me and be like, I resonate with that dude because he's not afraid to call it like he sees it. And so, like, I think people put, like, they focus so much on, and people are afraid of, like, cancel culture and not, like, they want to be politically correct and all this other stuff. And they, you know, a really good way to put it is my buddy Hugh does this when he hires. He makes like a 2 or 3 minute video for his company where he's like, the goal of this video is to make the people who I wouldn't get along with not fill out an application. And so he's like, I will literally, he's like, this is Missouri, so you know, it is what it is. He's like, I will literally pull out a handgun and set it on the table in this interview video.
That's crazy.
And be drinking a glass of whiskey and smoking a cigar and like swearing in the first 30 seconds and like, this is our freaking company and this is what we do and blah, blah, blah. And this is the type of people we are, because that's who he really is. He smokes cigars, he drinks scotch, he shoots guns, and he's that guy. His Instagram handle's Hillbilly Millionaire. And so within 30 seconds, all the people who
you know whether you want to work with him or not
will not apply. And now the only applications he has to look at are people that he would get along with culturally.
Hello, modern kings and queens. I'm sorry for the interruption. I know you're enjoying the episode, but I have something super important that you must listen to. If you've been following this podcast for a while now, it's because of one of two reasons. Number one, you aspire to have it all, to unlock your potential across all areas of your life and achieve true freedom physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and of course, financially. And or number two, you're a real estate investor or an aspiring real estate investor who has chosen to use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle to achieve financial freedom. My mission as part of the Modern Kings and Queens movement is to help as many people as I can achieve financial freedom using the vehicle of real estate. And I believe that networking can be an incredibly powerful tool to help you unlock your potential across all areas, but more importantly, financially, and more specifically in real estate. I believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why I created the 4-step capital raising networking system to help real estate investors propel their growth by using a reliable system that will consistently help them connect with their ideal investors, build trust, add value, get their investors to promote them and put them in front of more investors, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that they can become successful, not only financially, but across all areas of their life. If this is something that you want, and this is something that you're interested in, click the link below to gain access to a training that will explain the 4 steps to building a high leverage network that you can use to raise millions of dollars in capital, propel your growth in real estate, and achieve financial freedom in a much more effortless way so that you can have more time and energy to pour into every single other area of your life so that you can become successful, not only financially, but across all areas of your life. In this training, you will learn 4 things. Number 1, aligned connections. I'll show you how to network effectively and how to make sure that your networking efforts work by leveraging a secret, little known concept called the cloak track. Number 2, networking tool. I'm gonna reveal to you a secret networking tool that the top 5% of successful real estate investors use to become successful. And I'm gonna show you how you can use it too to become successful and get out of that 95% of real estate investors that don't really make it. 3, high status communication. In order for someone to invest in you, they have to feel like they know you, like you, and trust you. A lot of people can communicate, but very few can connect. High status communication will allow you to build trust and add value in a way that will make people feel like they know you, like you, and trust you for years in a time span of 30 minutes. And lastly, the 4th thing is the attention multiplication machine. The world doesn't run on oil anymore. It runs on attention. And this last thing, the attention multiplication machine, will show you how to get wealthy investors to promote you and put you in front of more wealthy investors so that you can raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way. So if this is something that interests you, click the link below to go watch the training. Make sure you stay all the way to the end. If you find value and you want to book a call to talk about how you can get this completely offhand system, completely done for you system, implemented for you in the next 5 days. So click the link below. I'll see you on the other side. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of your episode. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Man, so I don't want to skip over that because like that's an amazing insight, man. And it has to do a lot about like knowing who your niche is, right? Like knowing who your ideal client avatar is, which is a huge insight that I'm very passionate about talking of. Because if I had known this concept that you're just talking about right now, it would have saved me years in my journey, right? So like before I used to, whenever I did a marketing video, I used to want to cram all of the information that I wanted to say in like 10 seconds because I was afraid, right? Scarcity. I was afraid that the people that I thought needed to listen to that information were not, right? But now, applying the same insights that you're talking about right now, I can take 3 minutes to do my marketing video if I want because I know that the people that who resonate with me will watch it, right?
Yep.
And the amazing thing here is realizing that there's enough of them, of those people. So, for example, the Billy guy that you're talking about, right? From Missouri, shoots guns, drinks whiskey, smokes cigars, and all of that. Well, it might be at first. I bet that it was probably like a scary thought to do that, right? To be authentic, because because he was probably thinking about the fact that he was going to repel a lot of people, right? But that's exactly what you want to do. You want to repel the people that don't have the same vision, values, and beliefs as you, right? And you got to realize that even if you show up as the most authentic version of yourself, and even if that's weird, right, or really different, like showing up to videos, drinking scotch, smoking cigars, and shooting guns, even if it's like that, man, there's enough people out there. There's an abundance of people out there that will resonate with that, which is a crazy insight to have, man. And the number one reason why most entrepreneurs are doing like five different things or don't have a niche is because of scarcity, man.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because everybody says the riches are in the niches, right? And the scarcity thing, like, dude, if you think about it from like an SEO's perspective, right? Uh, People will go, "Oh, well, I saw Graham Stephan make a video that's titled like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did this. And it got 2 million views." And so they go and try to make that video. And it's like, yeah, Graham Stephan has what, 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many millions of followers now
Yeah.
on YouTube. So he might have gotten 2 million views, but that's because it got pushed to 2 million subscribers. You make that video and not a soul will see it because nobody's going to know that it got made. You
Yeah.
need to make the video that is,
Specific to someone.
yeah, why or what is RE Simply, or what is the best real estate CRM, or what is the VA loan? How do I use the VA loan? Can I build a barn dominium with the VA loan? What is like, so that whoever is asking that question on the internet finds you. And it might only be 10 people asking that question, but those 10 people find you. And if you answer their question in the way that they want it answered, those 10 people will follow you. You do that
Hmm.
again and again and again, and your niche grows. And then eventually you can, like I'm at the point now where I'm not just real estate. Now I talk more military stuff in general, but I'm slowly branching out, but it's still within the military niche. It's just
For
different
sure.
aspects of the finance side.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's a
So
scarcity thing.
yeah, man. So the thing basically, right? Going back to the networking thing is just to put yourself out there in the most authentic version of yourself,
Yeah,
right?
that and then just being genuine and caring about other people, right? Adding value, not being an asshole, right? Not
Hmm.
taking more than you give. If you're gonna like go, if you're trying to network with someone who you think is like further along the food chain than you are in life, and don't
Hmm.
go and pull the like, will you be my mentor crap? Like, just go
Yeah,
try to genuinely build a relationship and add value to their life. And
for sure.
definitely don't ask, hey, how can I add value? Because now you're just putting another monkey on their back and giving them a problem to solve. Do your
Yeah.
research, figure out a problem they have, and then solve it and say,
Hmm.
hey, I solved this problem. Here's some value I can bring you. Because people do that to me. They come up, they're like, oh, hey, I want to get in your circle. How do I add value? And it's like, well, I don't have any idea what your skills are. And half the time I don't even know what I need help with. I'm blinded. So I don't know, figure out what I need help with and figure out what you're good at, and then fix or help or whatever. And I will be eternally grateful for you. But like, don't make me stop and go, actually, let's run a disc profile real quick, figure out what you're good at. And then let's figure out what I'm needing help in. And yeah, let me help you figure out what, like, make it easy.
Too much
Make
work,
it,
yeah.
yeah, make it easy for me.
And again, right? Take the path of least resistance. Man, it seems like, honestly, man, I don't know if you've ever heard about flow, right? But there's this book called what is it called? Super Beings and Power versus Force, which is all about consciousness. And basically, if you read those two books, you'll be able to understand that there's basically 4 levels of consciousness, right? So the first one is like um victim mode, in which people have a to me mentality, in which they think that everything happens to me, and they're always blaming and shaming and just acting like the victim. Then the next level of consciousness is when they get out of that and start taking responsibility, and they go into achiever mode, right? And they think that everything will happen by me. So now they have a by me mentality, in which they have to do everything, right? Like everything happens by them. And that takes a massive amount of effort. Like that takes massive amounts of effort. And then the third level of consciousness is flow, right? In which people start surrendering, right, to like a higher power. They start accepting, right? So they learn they learn acceptance, and they learn how to do that. And then they get in flow, and they have a mentality that says everything happens through me, right? And that level of consciousness is about taking the path of least resistance, which is literally all that you've been talking about, man. So it seems like, by accident, or I don't know how, you were able to master that, and that's how you live.
uh, if only I was as good at it as I sound like I am. I feel like I live in chaos, but maybe that's just because I flow in my own little bubble, and
Yeah.
then I forget about everything that's outside of my bubble, and I go, oh shoot, I forgot about all that stuff.
So yeah, it's not about not having chaos. How do you feel about that chaos, though? Are you
most
comfortable with
most
it?
most of it I don't care about. I'm like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
hire someone for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool, man.
My
So
zone of genius is networking, content creation, and just like creative, like writing and vision
whatever
and
comes out.
strategy and whatever. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So going back to networking, right? Putting yourself out there as a genuine and authentic version of yourself. Does your podcast have anything to do with that? Your podcast called the Military Millionaire Podcast with over 206 episodes?
We normally what we're doing is interviewing and showcasing success stories, but we're revamping some of it. So we're probably going to do a little bit more where it's just me and the co-host talking about our successes and what we've learned and what we've done and strategies, because both of us are, I would consider, pretty much like super networkers. We have very, very, very different styles, but
Mm-hmm.
also very similar styles. It's actually really funny. So I always refer to him, and if you haven't met him, you should definitely have him on the show. I'll introduce you. I
Awesome.
always refer
Thanks.
to Alex as Stockholm syndrome, as the way that
Hmm.
he makes friends. So I'm always like, I'm like, he latches onto you and just like beats the crap out of you until one day you just submit and you're best friends. And it's like, well, fine, I guess we'll be friends then. Just leave me alone. And I joke with him about that because Alex is like the most abrasive human in the world, seemingly, but also one of the most genuine. So like, he is the one dude, and I've got a few people in my life that I can send things to, and I know that I'll get very genuine feedback. There's not a whole lot of people in life that will just tell you how it is. He's the one guy that will like unabashedly, no matter what, call me on my bullshit. And I
Mm-hmm.
love it. Like, for example, uh, there's this app called Video Ask. I don't know if you've seen it, for like testimonials, where you can like, you push a button and you're like, hey, what's up, Alex Ramirez? Thanks so much I saw you crush that thing in the mastermind. I would love if you gave me a testimonial. All you got to do is click this button, and you can, tell me all about it and share your win. And whatever, boop, and it'll go to you. And you click a button, and you can basically like hold your phone up, talk into it, and then I can download that video and share it to my community. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, I did a few of those for my mastermind group, and they turned out great. And I did them like one-offs where I would like, hey, Adam, thanks for this. Hey, Donnie, I saw this. Hey, Adid, I saw this. And then I was like, I wonder if I could mass produce this without it sounding like it was mass produced.
Yeah.
And so I sent the video to 5 dudes. And it was the 5 dudes that I was like, if anybody was ever going to be offended that
They were
it was
gonna tell you, for
generic,
sure.
it was
Okay.
these 5 dudes. And so it's like 3 of my best friends and 2 dudes that are in my small group within my mastermind. And 4 of them replied with the video that was like, oh yeah, hey, thanks for thinking of me, blah, 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 blah. Alex replied and was like, I can't believe the audacity that you would send me a generic ass, like, fuck you. And I was like, there we go. Now I know it didn't hit home. Thank you. And I sent it back to him and was like, I appreciate you, man. Like, I knew if anybody was going to call me on it, it would be you. And anyway, but he is incredible at it too, and has networked his way all the way up to being like the lead content strategist, videographer for Brandon Turner's new Better Life launch out of Maui. So he's traveling around with Brandon and running
Nice.
around and meeting all these guys in LA and Austin. And so super cool. Yeah.
So man, are you like, do you work on raising capital?
I have, yeah. A lot of what I've done in that realm, I mean, I've raised for a couple syndications, but a lot of what I've done in that realm has been, either private money for my own like renovations,
Mhm.
or like just helping buddies out with like bridge debt. Like it's been nice to be able to help when a friend needs like a 30-day bridge or like a quick funding gap, to just be able to make connections there. I don't usually get anything out of those, but most of what I do is just making those kinds of introductions or funding my own stuff. But I have raised money for some other syndications, probably through the network. I probably raised 3.5 million over the last year and a half. So
As a natural like progression of the network that you've been able to build.
yeah. I was actually having a conversation with one of the syndicators yesterday, and he was like, if you took this seriously, you could be good at it. And I was like, yeah, I probably should take it seriously someday.
I should probably wing it, right? Yeah.
I mean, dude, we joke about that. One of my buddies needed $675,000 as a bridge loan for 60 days to close a hotel. And I sent an email, and I had 4 people reply yes within 24 hours. And I was like, oh, crap. Apparently my lenders actually have some dry powder. And one of the dudes funded it 4 days later.
Nice.
So pretty cool.
So man, tell me about your mastermind. It's called War Room Mastermind. Right?
Yeah. Apparently Andrew Tate had a war room at one point. So people are always like, is that what this is? I'm like, no, his came afterwards. We're better. But so the War Room Mastermind is we've got what, 213 members right now. It's the only part of the community that's actually only open to service members and vets. And it is mostly real estate people, but we got some just straight up business owners, open to people all walks of life, like all, from E1, like just joined the military, to I think we've got some full bird colonels. I think we might have a general in there now. And just, I mean, it's just a group of people that are just crushing it, right? It's not,
Yeah.
it's probably underpriced according to what everyone tells me, but it is, I'll tell you this, in 3.5 years, I've got a 30-day money back guarantee. We've got currently 212 members, 3.5 years. People have come and gone. So we probably had 240, 250 members total in 3.5 years. Not one person has ever even asked for the money back in the first month. So
what is that mastermind for?
It is for, it's just a community for accountability and helping service members and vets reach their goals and achieving financial freedom. So we bring in guest speakers. We do small group accountability pods. We have a like a 1 hour ask me anything kind of office hour session with me every week. Right now I'm running some like creative strategies, creative financing call every Monday. We do some master classes on like off market deals. I mean, but I mean, we cover every niche. So we've got people from all niches in there for multifamily, off market, wholesaling, flipping, Airbnb, you know, index funds. I mean, we cover everything, but it's mainly just a community for, so, you know, the overall community is like 250,000 people. And then I've got that Facebook group with like almost 60,000 people. And so I was like, I just need a space where it's like, it costs a little bit of money. So you got a little skin in the game. These are the people who are serious. And so it's like, that's the community that I want to dedicate my real time and effort to and produce the real content for. And so the people in that group are, you know, all studs or
So man,
studettes.
do you help those vets and military people achieve financial freedom by investing passively in real estate or actively?
Both. Yeah, we
Both. Okay.
do both. Yeah, we bring in guest speakers from all walks of life, friends of mine, mentors of mine, coaches. Bring in. We've got tons of discounts throughout the community. We've got the founder or the owner of the 7-figure flipping mastermind is one of the members. We've got some multifamily guys that are members. So we've got quite a bit of training on both the active and passive side within the mastermind. So really, it's like kind of like whichever way you want to go, we've got all the resources available to you.
Nice. So man, I know you know this is happening really abruptly, but we actually run out of time, man. But if anyone wants to know more about, you know, David Pere, and maybe they're military or they're vets, or maybe they just liked you, right? They like your style and they want to connect with you. What would be the best place for them to connect with you and find you, man?
They can go to thebestpodcastguest.com, which would allow them to download a free copy of my book PDF, and will show them all my social media channels.
Awesome. Well, it felt really short, man. I was having you know, a really nice time. Like this podcast felt just like
Flow.
you know, like just yeah, exactly. That's crazy, man. All right, awesome. Well, man, thank you very much. I enjoyed it, had fun, and I'll see you later, man.
This was good. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we're super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.